Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the European crossover webinar. And we are seeing the indices going in pair back. I had gone and shared a few charts in the chat room in the Asian session. Some very key things that came up that I noticed that I had not noticed yesterday. Bear with me. About one of the things that we have seen, which I don't even follow the Russell, but that we had reached new month lows on the Russell, but also on the Nasdaq, that 50% of the stocks were actually declining, despite the index making new highs. I was kind of concerned that we may start to go in and break lower today, and we've actually already started going and see that at this point. And you can certainly see that right now with the Nasdaq. Take a look also at Bitcoin. We did go in and break here in Bitcoin. We had some support here at the 127% extension. I'd share that, but you can see here that we're pressing even beyond that at this time. And you can see here also with the Nasdaq, also going and pressing lower here. Certainly breaking here and actually broke past the 14,716. We were actually breaking here, and I pointed out and shared that chart out here that we actually appear to be posting an evening star on the daily. And one moment. And you can see right here, it looked like we're certainly going and pressing here. Right there in the daily. And it looks like we're even pressing right now. And I'm thinking that we were going to go on and just break much lower and looking for a break really towards at least this 14,337. We're making real lows right here. Take this onto the 2-hour chart. Certainly right now what's in play is this 14,625. I'd actually even shared some stuff I posted on Blake's thing, because we were actually seeing in the Asian session selling coming in place here, which generally we don't go in and see in the Asian session, and we were still pressed on that. We're starting to go and see that. We're even seeing this thing even accelerate down here. Let's go on and take a look at the news that we have out for today. And we did get German exports that came in. And let me take a look here. Came in almost 2 hours ago here, and we're still right here making even new lows as we are with the Nasdaq. German exports came in down 0.3, and rolling into, as we come into the States, we are going to have initial jobless claims, and that looks to be it as far as, which is odd here. That is it there. Actually, you can see here that Nasdaq still breaking lower here. We'll take a look now where we stand here with the S&Ps. Oh boy, we have really come off down here now, all the way down to 43.05, challenging those lows, and maybe we're finally going to start to see this pull back. One of the things I wanted to go on and share here also was on, as I mentioned before, I don't follow that, but here's a Russell. Look at this thing breaking down here. So really, we've already been breaking down. So starting to look and see potentially we can start to see a pretty good slide here now. And if you look over here, look how far this thing has gone. Look at that, with nary a correction. So I would still go back to say that our first real target is going to be right here at 14,545. Still pressing lower in here. So let's go and take a look where we stand right now, coming across here. Take a look at the year. The year is actually pushing a little bit higher. We did have our 1793 from yesterday, and it looked like we could still press even lower than that. But we're actually moving a little bit higher with the euro. Cable just a tad bit lower, down 21. And the Aussie. Finally, we did actually hit. This was our bias chart support from the Asian session. We'll go over the work that we were doing, but we're looking for 74.27. And that's actually our bias chart support. We thought we might get some stops, and 74.27 is pretty key. And the dollar yen, wow, this thing really went and broke lower here. We're here at the 982. The weekly key level is 957, but boy, I thought we might work a little bit lower, but I did not think we'd break that. Thought we would just come down here and tag that 1028. We'll get to that, and then obviously move it into the cash dollar index. We tapped up against yesterday's resistance of 92.83, but we're actually trading fairly quiet right now at the moment. So with that, let's go on and move into the analysis. And we're still breaking lower in here. Right now with the Nasdaq. S&P's on its lows. So the euro remains weak with a potential to a 1758 support on the stop run. Resistance for Thursday will be 1814. We're actually at the 1814 right now. And we actually, let's take a look here for the low here with the euro was 1783. Now Friday's support, and actually the bias chart we had for the other day was 1793, but we didn't go break much lower than that. So potentially we're going to put that in here, but certainly looks like it may have tired itself out, which is 1758. And we're already moving higher. Actually, we're running a little bit counter, even though we're seeing risk going to come off. So we'll actually go on and allow for this to move a little bit higher if it does come back in here, which would be right there when they broke for support, which would be 1848. Let's give it some room. Moving on to the cable. Cable traded in a 90 pip range on Wednesday, finishing in the center of the range. You can see that here. Support for Thursday will be 37.34 with resistance at 38.36. And we're trading fairly quiet. We're not moving much here on the cable. So looking for 37.34. And 38.36 on the upside. Moving on to the Aussie dollar. So the Aussie finished Wednesday sub 75 since opening the opportunity for a run to 74.27, which is what we got to. You can see that right there, 74.27, which will be support. Resistance for Thursday will be 75.29. So we are here at 74.27. That's our support. And on resistance, 75.29, just a pip lower. Let's go move in now to the dollar yen. So the dollar yen spent Wednesday in less than a 50 pip range. The pair remains susceptible to a lower move to 10.28. Resistance for Thursday will be 10.78. Well, actually, we've broken here, and we've broken hard. Now, a lot of this has to do with the 10-year, but it was already lower anyway. So it's interesting to see this thing really break in here. But I think this is more about risk on and buying, not risk on, but risk off and safety into the yen itself. We are into some support here, but there's always a little bit of an overshoot. So support is going to be right there at 970. And we are at some key levels here on the SPOO, so we may see a little bit of a bounce. And then resistance on the upside is going to be right there with the level 1029. Still remains bullish overall. And onto the cash dollar index. The dollar index continues to show strength, even on the pair back from 2 days ago when it defended the 92 area. So resistance for Thursday will be 93.27 with support at 92.29. We're trading rather quiet now, but I thought we might break even higher on a potential risk off. That's what I was looking for, 93.27. We'll go and keep this in place. I mean, for that to be the resistance. We did come to yesterday's resistance and kind of pair off a bit. 93.27 and 92.29. And let's go move on to Bitcoin. Take a look at the 2-hour chart. So Bitcoin broke lower late on Wednesday. Support for Thursday will be 32,855, confluence with 32,819, which is 127% extension. But we've actually continued to break even further beyond that. So resistance support now is going to come in right there. Let's go and pull this up. Has been susceptible though. Doesn't mean we can't break even lower, which we're seeing now, but we'd come in right there, 32,223. And some resistance is going to be right there, which was support. 32, let's call it 32,855. And moving on to the S&Ps. Okay, the S&P fell back to 4305 before rallying back to 4338, and this is from the day before, which was resistance to be followed at 4335 and 4341. If you look on here on the S&P daily, we shared this before in the chat room. You can see here we hit double 161% extensions. We hit one on Friday, and then we came back here and basically hit it right after, just only about a couple of handles off, and you can see us coming down here, actually below this most recent low here. And this is support here in this 4305 area. We can take a little bit closer look. $43.05. So that's going to be initial support for right now on this move. $43.05. And then below that, $42.94. One of the things that we've referenced here, let's go back here. Has been these tight ranges. You can see here that we've been moving hard, but the ranges have been so tight. And so now we're starting to see an extension here. Actually, there's our support right in here, coming here. We push down to 42.95, which that's that 42.94 I'm referencing here. And then beyond that, it's going to be 42.85. So we're going to have 94, and then we'll have 42.85. And moving on to gold. So gold ran out of gas on Wednesday's rally right at the bias chart resistance that we had. Remember, we had, go back to this. We had 1808 yesterday, and you can see right here when the market ran out of gas, actually got to 1810, so about a couple of dollars left above. Then we fell back down to 1796. We're pressing up against here. If you look in here, we've challenged this once before, and this is actually, take a look at here. This is the VWAP off of those April lows. And so when they broke that, you can see here, we're once again back challenging against this VWAP. see whether or not they can break above that, but that resistance is going to come right there at 1817. So we'll go with that for our bias chart resistance. That VWAP, right there, but the VWAP comes at 18. It's called 1818. We do need to get a close above 1824. If we get a close above 1824, that will allow a move. We talked about that earlier in the week to 1878. We've got to get above 1824 on a daily close. Support is going to be right there, 1803 for support. And moving on to crude oil. So crude continued to slide into the support level on the 2 hour at 71.19. The pair is at a bounceable bottom. Resistance will be 73.09 with support at 70.77. So we've actually made it down to 70.71. So support we have is at 70.77. And resistance we had was for $73, 73.09. We've actually broken lower here, so we'll cap what that can go to, and we'll go with the 72.53. There we go. And there's the bias chart. Take a look at S&Ps. Here we are on a 15-minute chart. We've actually had a little bit of a hammer here, and then we broke them lower. Had two hammers, a double hammer. Surprisingly, we were able, once we hit those stops below here, we haven't seen any further follow-through on this. You can see here at the value area low here is at 43.18 with the midpoint of this extended session at 43.27. Actually, let's go and put this in here. If we go with RTH, I like that 43.25. Initial balance range was 43.24. So on the upside, we'll go with 43.24. For the resistance. Let's go on and drop on down to the Nasdaq. Already had a pretty good slide here. Let's go and take a look here on the profile. We've got the midpoint here from July the 2nd. Comes in here at 14,621. Let's go with 14,529. And then on the upside, midpoint be 729, but I like this area right here, 14,707. And if they do push regular trading hours, would be 742. It's also the volume area right there. It's 14,745. 14,724. And there's a bias chart for today. We'll get that posted into the room, and we'll see you in the chat room. And thanks for joining us here on the European Crossover webinar.